late model stock car racing at its finest. This is the 1995 CASCAR Super Series, and this is Peterborough Speedway, where the masters of bull-ring diplomacy will excel at the GM Goodwrench AC Delco 150. This is the 1995 CASCAR Super Series for the Castrol Cup on TSN. Brought to you in part by Mopar Performance Parts, your first choice. Castrol, manufacturers of GTX. GM Goodwrench Service Plus and AC Delco. STP and Prestone. And Dynamax Performance Exhausts.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to round number 7 of the CASCAR Super Series for late model stock cars. It's the GM Goodwrench AC Delco 150 from Peterborough Speedway. I'm Pat Gonzalez along with Craig Hill. And Craig, this race has been known to be tough on both the driver and the equipment.
Oh, absolutely, Pat. But what you've got here is a lightning fast third-mile high bank oval. And in the past, some CASCAR drivers have had their troubles at this racetrack.
Well, this is our second night race in a row. Our last event was from the Autodrome in St. Eustache, where number 74, Duke Sawchuk, led from start to finish and taking the 100-lap feature. And, Craig, many feel that this racetrack here at Peterborough is just as tough to pass on.
Well, what's very important here, Pat, is your race car setup. Anybody can go out and turn a couple of fast laps here. What you need is a car that's not going to be chasing the racetrack all night long, because ultimately you're going to come up on lap traffic, you're going to have to move to the outside of the racetrack, and you got to have a car that's working really good. Hopefully, the racetrack will stay in place. It was a little bit warm here this afternoon when they were out road testing, but now the track has cooled down, and we should see nothing except a very exciting race.
Well, CASCAR competition close as ever, and so was our time trials. We're in the final stages of time trials. Number 74, Duke Sawchuk, turned a lap at 14.758 seconds to take the pole position. Here's Todd Lewis with our fast qualifier.
Thanks, Pat. Pole sitter Duke Sawchuk. You had a win last week at St. Eustache, second pole of the year. How does this one feel?
Feels really good. We've been working hard at it, and we went out for a second practice session. We were a little bit off. We decided to go back to our original garage setup, and it paid off.
Now, the team had a win last week at St. Eustache. Has that inspired them at all?
Quite a bit, I would say. Like, it's the morale's been down a little bit. This guy's been working real hard, taking care of the two cars. We were ready by Wednesday afternoon, and that, to me, is real positive.
Duke Sawchuk, pole sitter. He's starting at the front, wants to stay there for the whole 150 laps.
So the Duke is the first of our Mopar Fast Four with a time of 14.758 seconds, followed by a driver who usually concentrates on his race setup rather than qualifying, Peter Gibbons. Then it's Dodge Avenger driver Junior Regan from Angus, Ontario, and the speedy Paul Mathers in a T-Bird.
Mathers has been extremely fast in qualifying. That's Kelly Williams getting into her car. And CASCAR officials will equalize this field by inverting the top 12 positions for the feature race. So Duke Sawchuk and Peter Gibbons will start back in the 6th row, and the rest of the grid will be filled through heat races that were run earlier.
And in the first heat race, Bill Rouse Jr. in the planned T-Bird started on the pole and had no trouble finding the fast line as he ran away with the win, followed by Slack, Beauchamp Jr., and Pontiac Grand Prix driver Kelly Williams.
A bit of a late charge by Randy Slack in the number 30 Pontiac Grand Prix. The top 4 drivers in each of these heat races will move into the main event, the GM Goodwrench AC Delco 150. Billy Rouse Jr. was the winner of heat number 1. The second heat race lined up Bracebridge, Ontario, Stoyan Zutic in the number 84 Grand Prix, alongside a hoodless number 53, Chris Brandt in a Cutlass on the front row.
Well, Brandt had that unfortunate crash on the front straight during qualifying, and I guess the crew didn't get enough time to straighten out the bodywork.
A couple of CASCAR Super Series regulars behind the front two. Number 44, Jack Monahan, who substitutes for team owner Steve Jalebian in the number 44 Key Tours car. And the 75 of Mike Herniak in the STP-sponsored Grand Prix.
And it's those 4 that will advance to the feature.
In the third heat race, number 17, DJ Kennington in the Castrol Dodge Avenger made no mistake about taking the lead as he jumped out in front of number 47, Sean Mangin. 08 Sean McGlynn and 85 Dave Jacobs dueled for the third place position, with the yellow 28 car of Kevin Trevelyan sitting back in 5th.
Well, what both those guys didn't know was that regular series driver number 06, John Gunn, was waiting patiently in 5th, and as the cars exited turn 2, John made his move up the inside and literally pushed his way through.
Dave Jacobs never recovered, and by the end of the heat, it was Dodge Avengers 1-2 with DJ Kennington taking the win, followed by John Gahn.
And the last heat race saw the Fast 12 qualifiers battling it out with Neil Fair grabbing the early lead over number 35 Brad Jakes and number 93 Alex Nagy Jr.
But by the end of Heat 4, it was Kerry Mix in the Midas Monte Carlo that grabbed the checker. And we found out today that Kerry is traveling to South Boston, Virginia for a qualifying run in a Busch Grand National event, and we wish him all the best.
So after hot laps, heat and last chance races, and the added provisionals, we're finally ready to go with the feature.
Cars pulling away now following the driver introductions as we look at the Midas starting grid. There you see Fair and Nagy up front, and again with the inversion of the top 12 drivers, the two fastest cars of Peter Gibbons and Duke Sawchuk back in that 6th row. DJ Kennington in the Castrol Avenger back in row 8. Ron Beauchamp Jr., another one of the Avengers, sitting back in that 10th row. Kelly Williams in row 11. Mike Herniak starting a little bit further back in the SDP Pontiac. And the last two drivers there making it via provisional starts. On board now with Brad Jakes as the cars work their way around the racetrack. Now we work our way around with Junior Regan in the number 27 Dodge Avenger. Part of the tremendous crowd here at Peterborough Speedway. It is standing room only, and track owner Kim Wallace has got to be happy with the tremendous turnout here for this GM Goodwrench AC Delco 150. The cars rolling down the back straightaway. They'll be looking for a green flag the next time onto the front straightaway. The pace car has pulled off. Neil Fair 55. Alex Nagy Jr. bring them up to speed out of turn 4, and they've got the green flag, and we're racing in the GM Goodwrench AC Delco 150. Into turn 2, it is Alex Nagy Jr. with the lead. Fair 55 running in a 3rd place position. He takes a look down to the inside, trying to put a wheel up underneath of Nagy, but he'll lead it at the end of lap number 1. 35, Brad Jakes running in the 3rd place position. Then it is Kerry Mix in the 02 Midas Monte Carlo running back in the 4th place spot. Alex Nagy Jr., number 93, he's had a bit of a tough first half in the Eastern Series, but he leads here in the early going. And now you ride on board with Brad Jakes, and Jakes gets a little tap in the bumper from 02. Kerry Mix pulls up alongside into turn 3, and he'll grab that 3rd place spot. Some aggressive driving there by Kerry Mix has put him to 3rd.
And Pat, that's just what we talked about in the opening. You have to work the fast groove and use your horsepower to find an opening when it's there. You got to jump right into it.
We ride on board with number 9, Peter Gibbons, in the NTN Bearings Monte Carlo. He is running back in the 6th place position. And here's the number 7 car of Sean Dupuis inside of Kerry Mix. He'll jump up into that 3rd place position. The drivers running very, very hard and aggressively here in the early laps. 93, Alex Nagy Jr., your leader, but Fair 55 in 2nd has got Dupuis, number 7, right behind him. Then the 02 of Kerry Mix in 4th. The number 10 Ford Thunderbird of Mathers runs in 5th, and then the number 9 car of Peter Gibbons back in the 6th place position. There is 35, Brad Jakes, and contact there between Sean Dupuis, number 7, as he just pushes Neil Fair out of the way to grab the number 2 spot.
Well, Neil Fair's got the same problem as Jakes. He got moved up into that 2nd groove, and as the race wears on, there'll be a little bit more rubber and be able to stick up there. But right now, there is no way. They just run through like a train on the inside, Pat.
Peter Gibbons getting around Neil Fair in that 55 car as he continues to slide backwards through the top 10. And we've got a spin in turn 4. It looks like the 84 car it is. Rookie Stoyan Zutic is one of the cars involved, and I believe it's 85. Dave Jacobs in the 85. Here's our Sony Prestone wall cam giving us a shot of that incident. Backwards across the track goes Jacobs, Zutic number 84, and now we've got some of the cars already on pit road.
Beauchamp into the pits early, and there are the Midas standings with Nagy leading, and that's Kennington in with a cooling problem.
And we'll return after this with more CASCAR action.
Welcome back to the GM Goodwrench AC Delco 150 from Peterborough Speedway, and starter Matt Lake is showing the white flag, Pat.
Number 93, Alex Nagy Jr., 02, Kerry Mix, the 2 Monte Carlos, sitting at the front of the field as it now forms up, looking for the restart. Cars working their way to turn 3. The pace car has pulled off. Nagy and Mix bring the field up to speed. And into the wall in turn number 4 is the number 3 car there of Dan Shurtleff. Cars down on the grass trying to avoid the incident.
Well, here's a look at what happened in that incident between Shirtliff and Mathers from the back of Jake's Avenger. That's Shirtliff right on his bumper, and as they accelerate, Dan is thrown to the outside of the track and mounts the wall airborne.
And Craig, while we were on that replay, this just happened. Shirtliff blocked Mathers on the front straightaway to have a talk, but Paul Mathers obviously is not talking.
Well, it's very unlike Dan to lose his temper, but that's it for the GM Goodwrench Snap-on Tools Monte Carlo of Dan Shirtliff, and it's a tough way to exit, especially as there's so many GM dealers and guests here tonight, Pat.
Back to the green flag racing. Your leader still Alex Nagy Jr. Here's the battle side by side for second. Peter Gibbons in car number 9 will go around and grab the number 2 spot. You ride on board with the new second-place driver, Peter Gibbons, as he has moved around the 0-2 of Kerry Mix. And now he's after the leader, 93, Alex Nagy Jr.
Well, I, for one, am impressed with number 75, Mike Herniak. He's up from 23rd starting spot to 8th, and doing that, he's also had to break in a new motor tonight.
Very impressive run for Mike Herniak. Here's the battle for third. Down the back straightaway on the inside. Number 7, Sean Dupuis, has taken over third from Kerry Mix.
Well, Sean is the current Eastern National points leader. I asked him earlier if it increased the pressure.
There's no more tension. The guys get along great. I've got a great crew. We got a big family, I guess you'd call it. So we all get along great, and I think that's the key to this team.
Well, Sean won the Eastern CASCAR Championship last year, and that certainly helped him get the Delco battery sponsorship in '95.
There's number 10, Paul Mathers. Oh, fire on board the 84 car of Stoyan Zutic into turn 3. That car is completely on fire. Now the onboard fire extinguisher is deployed, and the fire is out in the car. The CASCAR officials and corner workers will get the young rookie driver, Stoyan Zutic, out of the car, and full credit to the CASCAR safety regulations here that require an onboard fire extinguisher.
Well, here's another look at it from our Mopar replay from Gibbons' view. I think something really big time let go in that car. Boy, that was some fire, Pat.
Well, the best news in all that is Stoyan Zutic there is all right despite that tremendous fire aboard that 84 car. But he is through for the evening here at Peterborough. Cars getting up to speed. The Prestone Sony wall cam giving us this great shot as the cars speed across the start-finish line. Side by side for the lead, Alex Nagy Jr., number 93. Oh, a spin down to the inside. 31, Kelly Williams. And now number 7, Sean Dupuis, has come through on the inside to take over the number 2 spot as we ride on board with Peter Gibbons. He appears to be really fighting the steering wheel on that car, and I think Gibbons may have a problem as he has dropped back into the 3rd place position. 93, Alex Nagy, your leader, followed by number 7, Sean Dupuis in 2nd. The number 9 car of Peter Gibbons running in 3rd. And now we go on board with Mike Herniak, number 75 in the STP Pontiac. What a marvelous run he has had up through the field. Right now he's in the top 10, running at about the 8th position. Oh, a tap in the back on the 55 car of Neil Fair. He's running 4th. Kerry Mix in the 0-2 try to come through on the inside as well. We go back up front with the leader, Alex Nagy Jr. This great camera shot from the back of his car. And on the inside, Sean Dupuis will dive in to grab the lead. There is Peter Gibbons in the number 9 car. He'll look for the 2nd place position, and he will get it. So it is Gibbons, number 9, and Dupuis, 7, who have moved around the leader for much of this race. Alex Nagy Jr. in the number 93, AC Delco Monte Carlo. So the Monte Carlos running 1, 2, 3.
And there are the Midas standings with Sean Dupuis and Gibbons going under Alex Nagy. Then it's Neil Fair, Brad Jakes, and Kerry Mix.
There's part of the Midas crew looking at their driver as he is having a war here with 55 Neil Fair, who runs in 4th, along with the 35 car of Brad Jakes. And now there is the move by Mix up on the inside of Jakes. The Monte Carlo and the Dodge Avenger battling for that 5th place position. They'll try to get around that blue 47 car of Sean Mangin, and they will. Mangin being passed by those 3 drivers. I believe he's running a lap down, and now we've got a caution flag out on the speedway. I believe we've got a car blocking pit road.
And this gives us a chance to check the Prestone update of cars on the lead lap. And it looks like we might have to remove Bill Rouse Jr. from the update. The crew are going under the hood. It's very hot here tonight, Pat, and the engine cooling on these short ovals on a night like this can be a big problem.
We go on board with Peter Gibbons. The pace car is pulled off. They roll off at turn 4, and they'll get the green flag as the leader. Number 7, Sean Dupuis, will get a jump on Gibbons in that number 9 car. Gibbons running a little bit wide as they head down the back straightaway. Sean Dupuis in that number 7 Monte Carlo has really opened up an advantage. Gibbons, number 9, appears to be all over the racetrack. He has got a problem. Neil Fair will move around along with the 35 car of Brad Jakes. So Peter Gibbons, who has been very, very strong. Oh, contact there between Kerry Mix and the 02 and the 93 car of Alex Nagy Jr. So both Nagy Jr. and Gibbons have got a problem.
Both Peter and Alex need a yellow in order to pit for new rubber. These McCreary tires are durable, but when you get debris on the racetrack, it doesn't take much to get a puncture.
On board with Peter Gibbons as he fights the steering wheel, and Gibbons loops the car around off at turn number 2. He's sitting sideways across the back straightaway. This could bring out a caution flag, and yes, it does. There's Matt Lake with the yellow out here at Peterborough Speedway one more time. Gibbons heads for pit road. They'll change the right rear tire, and there's Alex Nagy. He is in for a tire change as well.
And what a tough break for these two front runners, Pat. As Marty Gaunt wrenches on a right rear on the NTN car, let's take this opportunity to join Pat for the Dynamax timeout.
Communication has always been a concern in racing. How to receive and send information has become more and more important to help give a team the edge. Traditionally, teams have used the signboard, but it has its limitations. So today's teams have gone electronic with portable FM radio systems like this. Brad Jakes' Dynamax helmet has a built-in headset, microphone, along with a send button on the console inside the car. His crew chief, Larry Archer, has a matched frequency portable for private communication. So what do drivers and crew chiefs talk about during a race? Let's give a listen.
3 laps to go. There's nobody near you. Caution, Sean, turn 2. Stay high. Stay out there, stay out there. Caution's out, let's go back it up.
So with this modern communication system, you can both talk a good race and drive one.
And our thanks to the teams for allowing us to tap into their communication systems.
Looking at the battle here for second place. Oh, a contact between 97 Rob Neely and 35 Brad Jakes, who has worked his way up into the second place position. There is the number 10 car of Paul Mathers. He's trying to get around number 7 Sean Dupuis to get back on the lead lap. The battle here will be for the number 2 spot, and there is Mathers up on the outside. He has managed to get back on the lead lap as Dupuis holds the lead on the inside. Rob Neely, number 97, looking for the second place position, but up to the outside. Brad Jakes in that Dodge Avenger is moving around the outside of Sean Dupuis. They'll go side by side off of turn 4, and Jakes in the Dynamax Avenger will take the lead here at Peterborough. Number 7, Dupuis in the Monte Carlo running in second. 97, Neely in that yellow car is third, and now number 16, Al Turner on the inside of Neely. Turner, collision almost in turn 4. Neely up on the outside will move to second. Dupuis is third, and Al Turner is all over the number 7 car of Sean Dupuis. They're having a war up front. Mike Herniak in the STP Pontiac is right there in fifth. Number 74, Duke Sawchuk, comes through on the inside looking for a position, and he will move around the 75 of Mike Herniak. So they are swapping positions all over the racetrack as we ride along with Mike Herniak. He has had a great charge. Oh, number 74, Duke Sawchuk, right into the back of Al Turner.
Oh, what bad luck for Al Turner, and we'll be back with more of the CASCAR Super Series for the Castrol Cup after this.
Welcome back to the GM Goodwrench AC Delco 150 at Peterborough Speedway. I'm Pat Gonzalez along with Craig Hill and Todd Lewis as number 75, Mike Herniak in the STP Pontiac has pitted for a new right front tire.
And the Mopar replay shows us the result of a great charge from 23rd position by Herniak to grab the lead from a slowing Brad Jakes. But then, like so many of the other drivers, Mike has been forced to pit with a cut-down tire.
So we've had quite a shuffle with Alex Nagy Jr. in the Monte Carlo taking over the lead once again. Al Turner in second, Paul Mathers, Sean Dupuis, Rob Neely, and Peter Gibbons rounding out our top 6.
And we have to give Mathers credit. He was involved in a crash with Dan Churtliff, had to pit during the green, and is back challenging for second.
Side by side, Mathers in the fourth. Thunderbird will go through in a second. He gets loose off of turn 2, and Al Turner right in the back of Mathers. He spins him around, fiberglass all over the racetrack. Mathers will will head for the pits.
And here's the Mopar replay of that wreck, as it looks like Mather's just lost it coming out of turn 2, and Dupuis tries the inside with Turner having nowhere to go. What a tough break for the talented London driver. And Todd Lewis has caught up with the disappointed driver in the pits.
So well, man. We'll get him next time.
Well, next time for Paul Mathers and the rest of our CASCAR regulars will be the national event at Race City Speedway in Calgary. As the cars, number 93, Alex Nagy Jr. has pulled to the outside in the AC Delco Monte Carlo.
And this is the Mopar replay from Nagy's Monte Carlo. Let's listen to the motor, but to me, it sounds like his ignition just quit on him.
Tough break for Alex Nagy Jr. It's been that kind of a season. There is Rob Neely. He's in for a tire change, but he'll get out and stay on the lead lap. Brad Jakes, 35, also in for servicing as the cars line up behind the pace car.
And there are the 4 drivers on the lead lap, and it'll be a 5-lap shootout for the win here as Matt Lake shows him the white flag for 1 lap to green.
Cars lining up on the back straightaway. The pace car about to pull into the infield. 55, Neil Fair, the lap car down to the inside. Up on the outside, the cars on the lead lap. Number 16, Al Turner is your leader. 9, Peter Gibbons in second. 7, Sean Dupuis is third. And that yellow Monte Carlo, number 97, Rob Neely, running back in the 4th place position. Battle for the lead into turn 3. Gibbons and 16, Turner just about take each other right off the racetrack. Both drivers recovering. Turner, 16, still your leader. And you ride on board with number 9, Peter Gibbons, in that 2nd place position. Gibbons has really battled back after that earlier problem with a flat tire. He was able to get into the pits, and they battle on the front straightaway. Dupuis, number 7, up to the outside of Gibbons into turn 2. He'll grab the 2nd place position. It is Turner, 16, your leader. And here is Sean Dupuis. He'll try that high line into turn 3. Try to drive around the outside of Peter Gibbons, and Al Turner just about spins the car as he comes off the turn. These 3 drivers are having a war up front, and Gibbons jumps around 16 Turner to take the lead. They're swapping positions at the front of the field. Gibbons, number 9, your leader. Turner, 16, in second, and he gets into contact with number 7, Sean Dupuis. White flag out at the stripe. Gibbons, your leader. Turner, 16, in second. There's number 7, Sean Dupuis, third. Neely is back in 4th. Just a couple of corners to go. Number 9, Gibbons, your leader. There is Turner, all right into the back of Gibbons. He pushes the rear end of the car in the air, but there's the checkered flag. Gibbons will win it. Turner in second.
What a great come from behind win for the NTN Bearings team with crew chief Marty Gaunt and engine builder Murray Timm.
Gibbons takes his 2nd CASCAR win of the year, followed by Turner, Dupuis, Neely, and Fair. Then it's John Gaunt, Brad Jakes, and a pair of Avengers, followed by Mix, Brandt, and Monahan. A good night for the GM folks, and we'll be back with the presentations after this.
Welcome back to the GM Goodwrench AC Delco 150 from Peterborough, and here's Pat Gonzalez with winner Peter Gibbons.
Well, what the heck was going on that last lap? It seemed like you guys were playing bumper cars, and it doesn't get much closer than that. Well, the NTN car got a real bad push at the end, and so did Al, and then Dookie got up in there and gave it a little shove and kind of opened the hole up for me, and the way I went, he kind of went a little sideways there. I was just trying to keep everything in order.
And everything is in order with the Eastern National Championship standings, with a tight 3-way battle at the top between Dupuis, Mix, and Gibbons. And here's Todd Lewis with runner-up Al Turner.
Al Turner, he took a provisional to get into the race, and as you can see by the side of the car, it was a pretty rough race. How did you stand from the front?
We were just lucky because our car was really working well. It's just a shame we messed up in time trials, and I drove the car a little bit, and I got it behind the 8 ball. I really feel bad for the team that I got here. I was really glad to be here until the 2nd place finish and try and pay back for all the hard work they did all summer.
A hard-fought victory for Peter Gibbons, but he's there to collect the checkered flag and a pretty good haul for us.
Well, we saw it all tonight, Pat. Flat tires, fights, fires, the whole bottle of wax, and a great come from behind.
Well, the championship battles will continue. Our next event is coming from Race City Speedway in Calgary as the best drivers from the Eastern Series meet the best from the West. For Craig Hill and Todd Lewis, I'm Pat Gonzalez saying so long from Peterborough Speedway.
The GM Goodwrench AC Delco 150 has been brought to you in part by Mopar Performance Parts, your first choice. Castrol, manufacturers of GTX. GM Goodwrench Service Plus and AC Delco. and Prestone. And Dynamax Performance Exhausts. This event was sanctioned by CASCAR, Canadian Association for Stock Car Auto Racing.